Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're delighted that you could join us and talk a little bit about North America, about the US, Canada, and Mexico, and how they all mesh together, and how we can use online tools to make an amazing increase to sales, to brand awareness, and all of that. So thank you. And we're delighted, just while the last of you are logging on, I think I'll just sort of do some introductions as well. So we are really, really pleased today to have Jonathan Zooks with us. Jonathan is the chairman of the Mid-Atlantic rep for the National Association of District Export Councils, NADEC. I'm going to let Jonathan introduce NADEC and himself a little bit later on, but this is an amazing, amazing resource for exporters. And he will highlight some of those attributes a bit later on. I'm also delighted, of course, to be joined by some of my colleagues. Rita Benhada, who's a senior online marketing manager with us. She'll be talking about the online marketing world for Canada and Mexico in particular, how to really engage with your prospective buyers in those markets, what makes for engagement, how to do that, what are the key attributes you need to have, and some really, really good practical help on that. And then Ava is our business development manager for Canada, based in Montreal, and brings with her a huge, experience and expertise for companies looking to go global, looking to export and grow their sales. And Ava's going to be looking at and talking a little bit about some of our Canadian specific online characteristics. For that. And myself, my name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. A quick word also just on IBT Online and who we are as a company. So we're a U.S. company. We have a Canadian office as well, Canadian subsidiary as well, and we've been around for quite a long time, since over 20 years now, and we are 100% focused on small to mid-cap companies and on the online world. So we build websites and do online marketing for small to mid-cap companies looking to develop their brand, their sales, their exports internationally. That's what we're really known for, and we're actually really, really pleased. We've developed a series of programs for individual U.S. states. And for that, and we've won a couple of awards that we're very proud of as well, in particular the Climate Sustainable Awards, but also ecommerce awards and so on. And as you can see on this slide, there's a whole bunch of stats about how many languages and how many countries and clients we've managed to help. But what I actually wanted to emphasize also was our online global programs, and these are programs that we've rolled out through the USA and also actually into Canada and the provinces to help small and mid-cap companies grow their businesses. So this is a well-trodden path and something I think that we can help with and to grow your websites, to grow your online marketing in order to grow your business. So we're very top line orientated. That's the beauty of all online tools, is that they basically address your top line. They're all about bringing in sales, about growing brand awareness. So let us know if you want to learn more about those programs. There are also grants available in several states for them. So our agenda today, I'm going to pass over to Jonathan right from the beginning to talk a little bit about NADEC and his role and how NADEC sees this and how NADEC also sees the online world and what we can do here and the attributes that NADEC brings to exporters. Then I'm going to take it back and talk a little bit about North America and the online environment in both Canada and Mexico. How does it differ from the USA? What is there that's significant in that? And we're going to talk about best practice websites for Canada and Mexico, and give you some practical help about making sure that your websites are working hard for you in those export markets. We're just going to talk about the online marketing specifically for Canada and Mexico, and then we're going to round out with some takeaways and also some time for questions for you. So please, get in touch. And this is the time you've taken the time of your day, which we really appreciate, to spend with us talking about websites and online marketing in Canada and Mexico. Use that time well. Reach out, ask the questions. Go ahead and ask the question. But first, let's hear from Jonathan a little bit about NADEC. Jonathan.
Thank you, Susanna, and welcome everybody to this webinar. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. As chair of the National Association of District Export Councils, or NADEC for short, I want to welcome you and let you know that the NADEC's working hard for you, not only in trade policy, education and outreach, but in partnering with organizations like IBT Online to bring you this kind of content, to bring you experts, to help your business grow, to help your constituents. So you're probably saying, well, what does the NADEC do? What is your purpose? So our purpose is to actually work for the 61 local district export councils, which those local district export councils are made up of business professionals that have been actually appointed by the Commerce Secretary of the United States to help mentor small, medium businesses in exporting. And so this topic of, website design and globalization and international marketing is a key component to what NADEC brings to the local DECs, and the local DECs bring to the businesses in their area. And so, our charge is to help the small, medium businesses export. And what's the biggest export market? Well, it's outside of the US. 95% of the world's population and live outside of our 50 states. So we want to see how can we reach those potential customers, and website globalization and online marketing is a great tool in doing that. But there are some pitfalls to that, because everybody's heard of ChatGPT and AI, and so everybody thinks that they're an international marketing pariah now. They're going to go out there and be the Wolf of Wall Street, so to speak, in international marketing. And a lot of people are getting in trouble. In my home state here in North Carolina, we had some attorneys that used ChatGPT to come up with some case law, and they went to court, and it turned out 100% of the case law that they got from ChatGPT was false. So, don't get caught using false or copyrighted marketing materials when you're going international. So, partnering with a top-notch organization, which IBT is, will help you, because they will help you to utilize AI and your website in international social media marketing to leverage all of these tools, use all these tools to expand your business. And so in my business, my personal business, so I'm taking my NADEC hat off and I'm putting on my ASI hat. I manufacture grinding wheels, and I went to IBT a few years ago and I said, our website needs to be updated. We need websites for Canada and Mexico, which is exactly what we're talking about today. So you're hearing firsthand experience. You're not hearing from somebody who read a pamphlet or read a website. This is somebody who's used IBT Online for years. We had them build us a website for Canada and Mexico and then do our social media marketing. And I can tell you that our export sales exponentially grew in both markets. We are more entrenched in Canada than ever. And in Mexico, our export sales in 1 year were more than the previous 15 years combined. Yes, I'll say that again. In 1 year of our website going live and the social media marketing behind it, we did more in export sales than the previous 15 years combined. And we didn't believe that would be possible because we are trade show people, we're brick and mortar people, we run around to our customers all over the world. COVID wouldn't allow us to do that, so we went the digital marketing route with IBT Online, and I can tell you it's paid dividends. I mean, I can't tell you enough how much having international websites and social media marketing has really helped my company. We got to the point in Mexico where we could not handle all of our sales internally and through distributors, so we have a sales office now in Mexico. And so, your export sales for a company of 40 people that we have a sales office in Mexico. And I can tell you that it's all tied to our Mexico website and our social media marketing that we did with IBT. And I can tell you in Canada, our distributors up there are happier with us with those websites. They said that they're getting more calls for quotes, more requests for quotes than ever before. Our information is localized, so whether it's Canada or Mexico, we're being found in both of those markets, and then that is also being seen overseas beyond those markets. So, when you get a monthly report from IBT, you'll see, UK, India looking at your Canadian website, and Ava, I'm sure we'll talk about that, and Rita will talk about, when you have a website in Mexico, that you're going to hit most of Latin America. All the Latin speaking countries, even Spain is going to be looking at your website in Mexico. So I would just say, from the NADEC's perspective and also from my company perspective, working with IBT Online is a great experience. They are the professionals that you need to work with. Please do not get stuck in a bad situation where you don't know what you're doing and you get yourself in trouble, because there will be rules for AI. There will be more rules when it comes to social media marketing and websites. We already see that going on in Europe and other places. You need to have a good partner to help you with this. This is not something you can just go and do on your own and you're going to be an expert because you got Chat GPT beside you. Okay, so I just highly suggest that you find a good partner. And like I said, for me personally and from the NADEC's perspective, IBT has been a great partner for many of these years. We look forward to continue to work with them. And I hope you enjoy this webinar, and please take to heart everything that Ava, Rita, and Susanna are going to tell you, because they're going to give you a lot of good information, a lot of technical details and numbers that are going to blow you away when it comes to your reach. But don't be afraid of any of that, because if a small company in rural Western North Carolina can be an exporting force because we have leveraged our online websites and our social media marketing, you can too. So with that, Susanna, I think I'll turn it over to you, and we'll go from here.
Jonathan, thank you so much. That was amazing, very amazing. Thank you very much for that. Right, endorsement and positive review. Thank you very much. Let's go right into the meat of the matter. USMCA. Anybody remember this picture? So USMCA obviously replaced NAFTA, and on the online world, it actually made a real difference and made the trade between Canada, USA, Mexico actually easier for a couple of reasons. But anyway, USMCA, known in Canada as CUSMA, and in Mexico as TMEC, by the way. So in our terms, it obviously, there's a lot of benefits to this treaty, and it needed to be updated without a doubt. There were environmental regulations, all kinds of things, and working regulations. But from an online perspective, it has a really big impact. Now, obviously, if you're a Canadian dairy farmer, it has a big impact too. But from the online side, it's free flow of data, which really improves and helps the e-commerce environment. I'm not saying that it's all totally smooth and easy. There are still some tariffs, there are still taxes, DHL charges too much to transport things around the place, but it has made a significant difference and improvement for the online world with the free flow of data between Mexico, USA, Canada, and therefore digital guidelines as well, although Canada has stronger ones. We'll get into that. And that is a very good news for e-commerce. I also wanted to highlight, obviously, that this is, it's a big place, 500 million consumers in there, of which 317 are English first language, 121 are Spanish, and 17 French first language. But if we look at the online side, just, very, very big picture, we'll drill down in a second, but just the online side in a second, there's some other big parallels. The USA and Canada are very similar online markets. They both went through, they're quite sort of what we call mature online markets. They went from a PC to a mobile to an iPad and so on. Internet penetration is over 90%. Everybody uses social media. Internet access is very strong. we'll drill down into each one of these things. Mexico, a little bit different, and you'll hear this again and again. Mexico is a mobile first market, which means that they discovered the internet through their mobile phone. And the mobile phone is a real business tool. And the importance of WhatsApp and all the repercussions of that. Again, we'll drill down to that. But I wanted to have a first takeaway. The first takeaway is that USMCA, North America, is online. You know, 90%, 92, 99, 70% in Mexico. The vast majority of this population is online. And we'll get down to how they, to details about how they use that online environment. But that is good news for you. If you're a small mid-cap company in USA, you know where and how to access your potential buyers in those markets. Use the online world. They're online. You can meet them online. So our takeaway number one is online. Make sure your online assets are working hard for you because of that. Ava, tell us a little bit about Canada.
Absolutely. Yes, so I'm Ava, based in Montreal, and I'm going to be speaking a little bit about Canada and Mexico and the online environment. And obviously, IBT Online and myself personally, we love Canada. And we have an office here in Canada, so we're big fans of this online environment. And I can tell anybody who wants also some recommendations for skiing and hiking, because obviously it has the most beautiful geographic landscape, of course. And because it's such a huge country, so it has a huge diversity of geographic landscape. Just a few highlights here in terms of Canada and understanding that the Canadian economy and the online environment. It's the 5th largest economy in the world and the 2nd largest country in the world. So that gives you a little bit of an understanding as to the scale. It's really diverse, and everyone lives along the US border, but there are just really big differences culturally and socially between the East and the West, because it's so big geographically. So between the Atlantic provinces and British Columbia, for example, that's a very different cultural environment that operates very different socially as well. Canada also has one of the highest GDPs per capita, and it's a real cultural mosaic. It has a very open society that is highly tolerant towards immigrants, very diverse place, and therefore that makes it open to new businesses. So it's an innovative and open-minded society because of the diversity of its culture. It has a huge Chinese, Filipino, South African, Brazilian population, etc. You know, even Toronto was labeled the most diverse city in the world, actually, with half of its population identifying as immigrants. In total, 250 ethnicities are present in the Toronto region, with 180 different dialects spoken. So this gives you just a little bit of an understanding of how diverse of a country Canada is. And because of that, it's open and receptive to new businesses, to new companies that are coming in and wanting to make an impact. You know, it really has a diverse, it's reflected in that, in its business environment. As Susanna mentioned, it has a very mature internet culture. So internet users are actually a little bit similar to the Germans. They're cautious internet users. They care about security and compliance. And they know how to leverage the internet. So the internet infrastructure is very strong and very resilient in Canada, because several years ago the Canadian government said, you know, really recognized that it's a sparsely populated geographically country, so it would benefit hugely from very strong online infrastructure. So, you know, the Canadian government made a point to ensure strong online infrastructure across the country, so people are well equipped and ready to behave and to make purchases online. So it's a fantastic country, of course, and I have lots of recommendations if people want to do come here and do their business here, because it really is receptive to new companies integrating. Mexico is also super interesting in online environment, and there are a couple of things that we wanted to highlight about the Mexico economy. If we look at the population, about 120 million, it is a really young population, where 30% are under the age of 18. And again, for online, this is important as it has a very up and coming workforce that are even more plugged into their parents. So they are fast adopters. We wanted to highlight as well that just how big Mexico is as well. It is twice the size of Texas. So don't underestimate those differences. Despite its size, it's very concentrated, with just 5 cities that account for about 95% of the US exports. Unlike Canada, Mexico's infrastructure is quite patchy, not least because of its geographic landscape. It has these very big mountain ranges, but this means that the landline telephones are not the best, and therefore Mexicans have adopted the internet, and particularly WhatsApp, as their main means of communication, because WhatsApp is much more reliable than the telephone line. So we'll talk more about this, of course, as we go into the websites and online best practices, but for now, just know that Mexico, there's one thing to really remember is Mexico is mobile first market. That means that most people will be using their mobile phones to access and use the internet, and that is their go-to device to use to access the internet. So for businesses and for this is personal as well. So we'll explain more about this for your best practices when setting up your website and setting up your online marketing. Knowing these online environments is really important, and that'll help you create your international buyer persona. So whether that is Mexico or Canada or any of your target international markets, before you start your online marketing or building your international website, which is crucial for your success in these markets, you have to think about your buyer persona. So what is important to note is how your Canadian and Mexican buyer persona can differ from your US persona. And on these slides, you'll see that there are a few questions here that you should be asking yourself. Are there multiple buyer personas in my export markets? How does my Canadian Mexican buyer persona find me, interact and engage with me, etc.? You really want your website to be designed, curated, and tailored and localized for your local buyer persona. So we've taken an example here from L'Oreal, which we obviously think is a fantastic company, does a really good job at presenting the differences. So L'Oreal USA. And you'll see, for example, here that there is a very subtle message. The main hero image of the homepage shows professional women. It's an urban and contemporary scene, and all the women are at the top of the floor of the building, busy at work and achieving great things. They all, of course, have great hair because it's L'Oreal after all. But that's the message and the theme that L'Oreal wants to set for the USA user customer. Professionalism, contemporary, hardworking, ambitious. L'Oreal Mexico is going to try and resonate with the Mexico market. So it's still an urban environment, but more relaxed, more familiar. It has men in the picture too. It also has more of a team approach as they're all gathered together here. And so it has a kind of community spirit that the other one perhaps didn't really choose to emphasize. When we go to L'Oreal Canada, here, L'Oreal Canada choose to emphasize diversity, a modern and urban look, and which recalls, as I just mentioned, Canada's diverse, young, and very educated population. So this reflects that L'Oreal is aware of its different international buyer personas, and it's making those choices in order to match their exporting objectives. It has chosen these images particularly because they will resonate better with their international buyers, respond better, therefore engage better, therefore buy their products more. And that's what we're trying to emphasize here is this is the very first part of the journey, is understanding your international buyer persona, really getting to grips with what that looks like as a consumer in that unique environment, culturally, socially, geographically, etc. And I'm going to hand back over to Susanna to talk about best practice websites as well.
Thank you very much, Ava. That was great. I really appreciate also those images of L'Oreal and the international buyer persona between it. Before we talk about the websites in particular, I wanted to launch just a quick poll. I wanted to ask, to get you a little bit involved here. It'd be useful for us during this webinar if we knew a little bit about where you are on that journey. If you're already doing business in Canada, and we've written just sort of local partner. Local partner can be distributor, your agent, a subsidiary, e-commerce, whatever. So, we just want to know, are you already online and a partner, or just with a partner? or still sort of like treading the water, looking at it all, I have to say also major thank you for all of you guys voting. You did a great job. You're all clicking on the buttons. Just to give you a little bit of feedback, by the way, most of you, the majority of you, are already doing some business in Canada and Mexico with a local partner. Almost none of you are, I mean, very, very few are online and with a local partner. So that's kind of interesting. The vast majority of you are already doing business in Canada and Mexico, but only with a local partner. So this is very encouraging for us. We were very happy that you're already doing that. Excuse me. And yeah, we'll close that poll. And now let's talk to you a little bit about websites, about best practice websites for Canada and Mexico that we're seeing in today's world. And I just wanted to sort of start with a question that we get pretty regularly. I just spent a fortune on my US website. What's wrong with my US website? It's fine. Why can't they just find me here? I'm located here in Nebraska or in North Carolina or wherever. They can find me. And but the point is, that's not how the internet works. Basically, because search engines organize data and organize it according to the searcher. So if you're in Canada, you're going to go onto Google Canada, and your website in Nebraska might not be seen as relevant to someone in British Columbia or in New Brunswick or in Mexico City or Acapulco. So you really need to actually have several websites in order to have the different relevancies, to make sure that your website is relevant. And if you've got clients in Mexico, and if you think that's a good target market, then it deserves its own website in which you can connect with that Mexican buyer persona. And I just took a silly example here. You'll see on the one side, Toronto. If you look for squeakless dog toys in Toronto. And if you're in Michigan, which after all is across the lake, it's not far. And you've also got a dog that barks during webinars and Zoom meetings, and you look for squeakless dog toys in Michigan. You know, you're going to get different responses. You know, in the US, you're going to get US focused and Michigan focused responses because Google knows where and how you're searching. So you're going to get Amazon.com and Chewy.com and freedomnopullharness.com. And in Toronto, just across the water, same language, same search engine, you're going to get different responses because Google knows that in Toronto, the websites that are more relevant for you are going to be, privileged. They're going to be on the top of the page there. You know, bustle.com and gladdogsnation.com and so on, and even an Amazon.ca. So that's just a silly example of how you need to be relevant. Ava, what is a localized website?
Absolutely. So a localized website is the best representative that your local, the best representative in the showcase of your products and of your brand, and it is what is going to be most relevant to your international buyer persona. So here we've listed 10 criteria that we want to use to determine a localized and what actually makes up a localized website. And note that the language is just one criteria. So just as important is your domain name, the hosting, the regulatory environment. A lot goes into the localized website in order for search engines to find it relevant to your prospective customers, to your international, buyer persona, so that you can be found, be understood, and be easy to do business with. Hosting, for example, if you are not hosted optimally, then your website is too slow to bother with. So your users will just click off. If you want good up and down load speed, then you need to think about hosting, and that'll ensure that your viewers are staying there longer, interacting with your website and moving across the pages. Of course, you need to ensure other things like multilingual navigation, correct CMS platform systems, etc. And once again, I'm just going to stress this one more time, being mobile enabled, for example, in particular, if you're going to Mexico, is just so super important. All of the users, all of your potential customers and prospects are going to be verifying and looking at your site and social media, of course, using their phones. So especially if you're entering a mobile first market, everything needs to be mobile enabled.
Great, and I love the sort of that slogan of go global, go local. That really sums it up. Thanks, Eva. I wanted also to just share this screenshot. If you do Google Analytics on your website, then you know what this is about. But one thing that you look at is where are your visitors coming from, and a good way of understanding if your website is relevant, is seen as relevant for your local market, is to see where they're coming from. And this is just a screenshot of a company of ours. So out of like 10,500 hits, that 9,000 of them come from Mexico. And another 1,000 come from Chile, Colombia. It's interesting as well. We get a lot of U.S. Spanish-speaking people transferring to Mexican websites. Once if you're a U.S. company and have an English language website only, if you add a Mexican website, you will enlarge that basket to your Spanish-speaking U.S. clients as well. So that's an interesting thing. But Misha will also talk a little bit about geolocation later on for Mexico, the importance of that. But I wanted to share that with you. Then just to say, this is something that we look at a lot with our clients, is the ROI, the return on investment of a website and of online marketing. It's one of the reasons why we really like e-commerce websites. And these days, websites are used for many things. And this is a company that used its website really to acquire new distributors and to set itself above the pack by saying we have international websites, so we are really good for our distributors. We have a lot of tools for our distributors, and it was very effective in terms of getting new distributors, but also direct sales and e-commerce enablement. And that's something that we're just seeing just so often now, as this is more and more demanded from companies. I wanted then to just drill down very quickly, broad brush, top of the pictures aside. What are some of the main differences between a U.S. and a Canadian website to start with? Canadians have a URL, that's their top level country domain name, that .com that you have in the US, a .de for Germany, a .jp for Japan. Canada has .ca. Hard to get, by the way, it's restricted. And you'll see that Canadians have no problem going onto .com companies when it's like for browsing, for checking out stuff, for getting info, checking out entertainment, downloading movies, they'll go to the .com. But when it comes to e-commerce or anything that's sensitive, that involves anything with health or finance or transactions like e-commerce or work-related research, they'll prefer a .ca without a doubt. And that's this overwhelming side on that. They will prefer the .ca versus the .com. And that has to do with trust. That has to do with it takes a lot to buy something online. You've got to trust the website that you're interacting with. And how do you build that trust to move your buyer along the buyer's journey? That's what localization is all about. And then I just, as an aside, Canadians apparently prefer the .com when it comes to gamers, to gaming. A couple of obvious examples as well. Big difference between the different types of language. And here we have, obviously there's differences in English. In the US, you don't add a U for a lot of things like color and things like that. Also, center is written ER, and in Canada, it's the English spelling. But on the other hand, sometimes they use a Z. So, it's different. There's also difference in vocabulary. So the way people will search, the words they will use, the keywords they will use will change. Obviously, also there are differences in culture and in country. It's a metric market. You need to have local testimonials, relevant imagery that's localized. So all those things make up, as Edward was saying, that localization process, which helps in the buyer's journey. Canadian French, obviously, quite different from French. And if you have any website that interacts with the government, if you have a procurement or request or quote that does anything with a province or a federal government in Canada, it needs to have French as well as just the English. So it is quite different from French, but we do find as well, just like the Spanish websites from Mexico, we do find that a Canadian French will actually attract some French as well. I talked about localizing and keywords. I wanted to give you an example of that. So here's an example of keywords in the in US versus Canada. Sneakers in the US, runners or runner in Canada. If you don't have the right keyword, you're going to be paying your Google ads for nothing. You're going to be paying Google money that is not going to the right word, and therefore just spending money for nothing. So you have to make sure that the keyword is the correct keywords for not just optimizing your website, but for your ad campaigns. So please make sure that you spend your money wisely on that. Another point I just wanted to emphasize about Canada is a growing concern for privacy and well-being. And this chart just comes from Hootsuite, but it really just shows you Canadians are increasingly and much more concerned about privacy and online or health issues than the US. So be mindful of that. Be mindful also that the Canadian audiences and Canadian buyers will not appreciate not having compliant and secure websites. They will, go away from your website as fast as possible. And this brings me on to something called the online compliance. In Canada, you have the CSL, which is basically an anti-spam, but it is moving rapidly towards an EU-style GDPR. So again, your compliance online has to be top-notch. And I think as Jonathan was saying, ChatGPT is great, but don't rely on it, and make sure, and don't think that it's perfect. Don't think that it won't throw up serious hallucinations, as they're called. And that's something I think that you'll find in Canada will really cost you a lot if you get it wrong. So make sure that you're digitally compliant. Quick view on, again, broad brush side of Mexico. I talked about Mexico in the beginning as a mobile first market. It is incredibly engaged, however. The Mexicans take a lot of time on the internet. They spend time on it. They engage in the internet, and Rita will have some precise examples of it. 70% of the population are online. That's a pretty strong number if you realize that something like 20% of the population of Mexico is below the age of 20. Still growing fast, growing at, these big numbers, growing at 3, 4, 5% per annum, and up to 9 hours a day, according to Hootsuite, on the internet. So major time on that. I wanted to also precise, there are differences, however, and I'm just showing this slide just to show you some of those big numbers. A Mexican Spanish website reaches beyond Mexico, and that's one of the great things about it. I mentioned that it does have an effect on your US website. You will find US customers who are Spanish speakers will go towards your Mexican website for ease, but also in Latin America, it's over 300 million consumers. You will pick up things, so it's a really good investment. The return on investment on Mexican websites tend to be very strong. And then I just wanted to highlight the importance of imagery on the Mexican websites. They are very image conscious, very video conscious. And again, we'll have some examples for you. In terms of keywords, just like Canada and US English, Mexico and Spanish, Mexican Spanish and Spain Spanish can be different. And again, you need to make sure that you've got the right keywords in each case. You need to make sure that you're not paying for something for nothing. So not just optimizing your website for search engine optimization so that it comes to the top, but also that you, in your ad campaigns, you're not paying for nothing on that. Your second big takeaway then from this webinar is really that your website should be your best sales rep. It's there working for you, and it should be working for you 24/7. It is the place where your new customers, new potential customers, will come and search you out. That's where they will find you, and that's where they will check you out. Your brand depends on your websites being fit for purpose. You want your brand to be well and strong, and therefore it has to be really strongly represented on your websites for that. Remember also that e-commerce and e-commerce enablement is increasingly demanded. Also, especially from B2B companies these days. Even if it doesn't end up as a payment gateway, it ends as a request to quote. That it really needs to have that full suite of transactions. Before I pass over a little bit to Rita and talk a little bit more about the online marketing site, I just wanted to ask y'all if this is of interest, if you'd like to learn more about localization for your websites, what makes good Canadian websites, what makes good Mexican websites. If so, we can send you some links or some some blogs about them with more detail about the individual markets. If you have an interest, let us know. And again, thank you very much for being so quick on that draw, on the click button. We appreciate that very much, and we'll circle back to you if you have if you've said you'd like to be contacted. We'll circle back to you and give you some more information on the websites. I'm going to close that and pass over to Rita. Rita, tell us a little bit about online marketing in Canada and Mexico, Rita.
Thank you, Susanna. Eva, so today I'll be sharing with you some best practice online marketing in Canada and Mexico. So the first thing is, just to put things into context, it's important to provide an insightful comparison of daily social media usage across Mexico, the US, and Canada. So understanding these differences is pivotal for crafting effective online marketing strategies in each country. So Mexico boasts the highest daily time spent on social media, as we can see here, with an impressive 3 hours, 25 minutes. This indicates a very strong online presence and a highly engaged user base. So it suggests that social media platforms are a primary channel for communication and information consumption in Mexico. And then we have the USA. So the daily average time spent on social media is 2 hours, 7 minutes. So well less than Mexico. It still reflects a substantial online presence. US consumers are active on social media, making it a valuable avenue for marketing campaigns. Canada follows with 1 hour 46 minutes of daily social media usage. While it's the lowest among the 3 countries, it's important to note that this is still a significant amount of time spent online. Canadian users are actively engaged on social media and are making it an effective platform for reaching this audience. So this statistic emphasizes the need for tailored online marketing approaches. So in Mexico, focusing on social media marketing is crucial due to the extended daily usage. In the USA, there's a robust audience, but potentially more competition. So strategies should stand out. In Canada, on the other hand, while usage is lower, it remains a valuable channel for engaging with consumers. So on the next slide, it underscores the essence of effective social media marketing. So reaching the right audience with the right message at the right time. So it presents key statistics that provide valuable insights for crafting successful campaigns. So with 69% of the total population active on social media, it's clear that this platform has immense reach. Understanding your target audience social media presence is crucial for successful marketing. The fact that 84% of Facebook users access the platform via mobile devices emphasize the importance of mobile-friendly content and advertising strategies. So ensuring that your marketing materials are mobile responsive, that's something that I'm gonna talk about a little bit in more details later, is essential to reach a vast user base. And the statistic that 72% of internet users view at least one video per week highlights the potential of video content in capturing audience attention and conveying messages effectively. So incorporating videos into your marketing strategy can enhance engagement and brand visibility. And lastly, the average daily time spent on social media at 1.46 hours emphasize the significant role it plays in people's daily routine. The statistic reinforces the idea that social media is a prime platform for connecting with your target audience effectively. So from a marketing perspective, Canada's social media landscape is a gold mine of opportunities waiting to be seized. Think of 86% of Canadians actively engaging with businesses on social media as an open invitation to connect, engage, and build brand loyalty. So Facebook, with its vast user base, is not just a platform, it's your marketing epicenter. Cultivate an active presence here to engage with a wide-ranging audience and establish your brand authority. Pinterest I see it as the visual playground. It allows you to tell your brand story creatively. It's perfect for businesses with, like visually appealing offerings. It's where you can visual storytelling that resonates with your audience. Twitter, now called X, is your real-time marketing amplifier. Use it for like a quick, impactful updates that keep your audience engaged and informed. YouTube and Instagram, the theater of visual content. Harness the power of videos and striking images to bring your brand story to life. And then finally, LinkedIn, although it's niche in engagement, it holds an immense value for professional connection. If your business operates in the B2B sphere, it's where you make meaningful connection that can drive growth. So leverage these insights to create a comprehensive social media marketing strategy that not only engage Canadians, but also position your brand as a leader in your industry. So this slide paints a vivid picture of Canada's social media landscape, rich with insightful for savvy marketers. So the sizable user base of a little bit over 32 million signals an abundant market. It's not just number, it's a dynamic community of potential customers. We have an annual growth rate of 8% that showcases the dynamic nature of social media in Canada. It's a reminder that this landscape is continuously evolving, is going to continue to evolve over the years, and it's very important to stay ahead of the curve. Mobile usage is the norm, with a little bit over 30 million users accessing via mobile phones. This isn't a trend, it's a culture. Brand must cater to the mobile audience to remain competitive. Mobile accessibility is almost universal at 95.2%. For marketers, this means mobile optimization isn't a luxury, it's a mandate. So to succeed in this landscape, brand must adapt to the mobile environment. It's not just about having a mobile presence, it's about creating an exceptional mobile experience. So the message is clear. Social media in Canada is a dynamic arena. To thrive, businesses must not only embrace the current state, but also anticipate and adapt to its continuous evolution. So today, we have a special offer for you. We're providing a complimentary detailed website analysis to determine if your website is mobile optimized. This applies to businesses with websites in Canada, Mexico, the US, or anywhere really, and having an optimized mobile site and wants to know more about their mobile, how the mobile is working, the mobile website is working. So we will also provide you with actionable recommendation to improve it. However, please keep in mind that we can only offer this to the first 10 companies who express interest by selecting yes on the next floor that Susanna is going to launch here. We regret that we won't be able to accommodate everyone, but thank you for your participation and interest.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there, Rita. So as Rita was saying, we're basically going to take, you know, like the first like 10 or so of you that give us the report. We're going to take that and look at your websites and give you for free a sort of little report on your website, what the speeds are, what you think, you know, how you can improve it, and so on. So a little bit of work for us. We would be delighted to do that, you know, to help with your website. We'll note how secure it is, the linkage, where you can best improve it, and so on. So, you know, add your name and say if you wanted to do that. And I'm actually amused. I did put in this little thing about too scary to think about. You know, I know that some of you might have websites that you're not 100% proud of, but you know, never too late to change. So, but anyway, thank you so much. Many of you have added your name. We will be taking the first 10, or first dozen, or first 10, we said. And thank you again. We're delighted to do that for you. I'm gonna pass back to close this now. Give back to Rita.
Thank you, Susanna. So then we're going to go ahead and dive into Mexico. So Mexico online marketing snapshot reveals a vibrant landscape as well, with a lot of potential for brand awareness and engagement. The statistics illustrate not just numbers, but opportunities. With 64% of the population active on social media, it's like having a captivated audience waiting to be engaged. Mobile, again, reigns supreme, especially on Facebook, with 94% mobile access. To succeed, brand must prioritize mobile-friendly strategies and ensure seamless experiences on smaller screens. Videos are the heartbeat of digital engagement, with 90% of users watching weekly. Brands should harness the power of visual storytelling to capture hearts and minds. And a little bit over 3 hours daily spent on social media is a testament to the dedication of Mexican users. It's an invitation for companies to connect meaningfully and build lasting relationships. So for businesses, this isn't just data, it's a blueprint for success. Mexico offers a ground for brand building through mobile optimization, captivating videos, and content that respects users' time. Mexico social media scene is a huge opportunity. It has over 100 million users and a rapid growth. Everyone's on mobile here, nearly 99 out of 100. That's why our content, again, needs to look good and work smoothly on mobile phones. Mexico leads the way in social media. We have a chance to connect with a massive audience. And again, to succeed, you need to plan for the future, make sure your content is mobile friendly, and be ready to chat with them in real time. So there's something about Mexico and Latin America in general. There's one platform that they absolutely love, it's WhatsApp. So if you're exporting in anywhere in Latin America, I would highly recommend you to look into WhatsApp and leverage that platform. Mexico is diverse, so you need to create content that connects with different regions and people. So in this ever-changing world of social media, you need to stay flexible, watch what's happening, and be ready to change your plan as needed. And then here's an example that I love. If you're curious, if buyer personas can really vary across geographies, they sure can. So here's a great example of how different buyer persona interact with social media campaigns. So this is an example from a Facebook campaign where we were promoting the same product, similar imagery and message, although of course localized and staying relevant to the local audience. So if we look at the results for the specific post, for the UK, we had over 1,200 engagement, and we were super pleased with it. But then when we looked at Mexico, we were blown away with over 20K engagement. I feel like this is an excellent example of how reactive and responsive the Mexican target audience can be. And then there's no strategy like video marketing for education, engaging, generating leads, and converting your prospect, and it works wonders in Mexico. Just talking generally about videos, I actually attended a huge conference recently for marketers. It's called Inbound. Whoever is familiar with HubSpot is probably aware of this conference, and they gave a great tip that they mentioned about video. With over 86% of video users watch videos with no sound. Meaning, if you have videos in your website, if you have videos that you share on your social media, make sure you add subtitles. Then here are some of the top reasons why videos are a no-brainer for your marketing strategy in Mexico. They grow your brand awareness because they're easy to share, and Mexicans love sharing things on social media. So your sales team, marketing team, engaged client, they can all help spread the message. Better engagement. In the previous slide, I gave an example of engagement in Mexico. Add a video and engagement levels will go up. Videos are easy to understand, and they also help boost your conversions and therefore your sales. And then lastly, targeting and geolocation in online marketing. Think of it like trying to hit a target accurately every time. So Mexico is a place with lots of people from different backgrounds that like different things. We have 5 big cities in Mexico: Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Pueblo and Toluca. Sorry, excuse my pronunciation. Geolocation is like a special tools that let us send specific messages to different places, almost like sending personal letters. So when we talk to an audience in a specific city and understand what they like, it just works better. And here's the important tip. In Mexico, using geolocation isn't just a good idea, it's like having a map for marketing success. It will help you find the right people in this big, diverse country. That's all for me today. Thank you all so much for your attendance, and Susanna, over to you.
Thank you, Rita. We're running very short on time, so I'm gonna skip through the takeaways. A couple of you already asked. Yes, you will get a recording of this in your inbox. And if you want the slide deck as well, let us know. We'll send that to you. First takeaway: the world is online. Not just U.S. and not just U.S., Canada, and Mexico, but the world is online. And as a small mid-cap company, you should leverage that. Use it. It's in your interest to do so. And just about North America, the online, you need to make sure that your websites and your marketing is fit for purpose, working hard for you in those markets. It is the best way to engage with them and to nurture prospective clients and leads. Takeaway number 2, on a similar vein, your website should function like a sales rep for you. It's where prospective clients will find you, interact with you, check you out, make sure that you're a valid company, that you have what they want. Your brand is important to you. Make sure your websites are working hard and fit for purpose. Localized websites, as Ava was explaining, have a lot to do. You know, there's a lot of things that go into making a website. The key word is go local. Remember that you have to be relevant to the local buyer, to your local prospective buyer. And finally, online marketing. I think Rita's done a fantastic job of showing us how building relationships with your Canadian and Mexican buyer personas are important for moving a buyer persona along the buyer's journey. That's what online marketing does. It moves them from like that first sort of like, I've got a problem, how do I solve it? To, this is maybe a company that can solve it for me. And then finally, that trust that builds up, yes, engage, send me a quote for this. So the third takeaway really is online marketing builds relationships that you need for your buyer's journey. We have a whole bunch of programs in USMCA, dedicated online global programs. Let us know if you want to learn more about them. And our online global programs are also available in Canada and the US across many US states. They're eligible for grants. There's a ton of stuff on our website. If you go onto the resources, there's lots and lots of information, which is free downloadable information on markets, about e-commerce, about how to get better websites and all of that. So please, pick and choose, go and browse, pick things up that you need. We have hardly any question time left. I really apologize, we went over. A couple of you have put in questions in the question box. We will reply to you separately by email. There is one question for Jonathan, if you're still there, Jonathan, which I thought might be interesting for you. How much management time does it take for an international website?
So that's a great question. It's a great segue, I guess, into how much time. For small businesses, we don't have a whole lot of time. So, your question is how much time does it take? Really doesn't take a whole lot of time. A lot of the content that IBT is going to be asking for, you already have. You have pictures, you have videos, you have customer testimonials and everything. So it's basically getting that to IBT. And IBT really does all the work for you. They really do a great job of walking with you hand in hand and helping you with all this. So I will say it really doesn't take a whole lot. On average, if you want to know, after we got our websites going, I think we spent less than 5 hours a month in working with IBT, getting them different things. Now, depending on what campaigns you want to do, you may spend a little bit more time, you may spend a little bit less. If you have a trade show coming up in Mexico, you may spend a lot more time with Rita. If you have a trade show coming up in Canada, you may spend a lot more time with Ava, targeting, Montreal or Toronto specifically. And that's the great thing that Rita and Ava were talking about, is being able to geographically target your customers. So in Mexico, big country, Canada, again, big country, you may not want to hit everybody, you may want to geographically locate. So you want to spend a little bit more time on that. So I would say about 5 hours, but I will tell you that, we probably, in the initial setup of the websites, probably spent somewhere between 40 and 60 hours in getting our content together and refreshing our content. But that's going to be dependent on what you already have.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Jonathan. There's a whole bunch of questions that have also just come in. We have run out of time. We will answer your questions by email directly to you. We wanted to thank Jonathan and the NADEC organization for being such an amazing resource for exporters, and Jonathan in particular for his time and his organizational skills. Thank you very much. And then for me, I wanted to thank my colleagues Rita and Ava for pitching in and talking to us about Canada, Mexico, online environment, and such. And then to all of you exporters, would-be exporters, stay in touch, happy exporting. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time very much. We look forward to meeting you online and in person soon. Stay safe. Thank you very, very much, everybody, and see you all on the next occasion. Thank you and bye-bye. Thanks, bye.
Thank you.